Welcome to another episode of Well-Fed Nerd, and today I happen to come across the new poster for Thor, Love and Thunder. So let's take a look at this poster here as far as the details on it. Like I say, the main thing that stands out when you're first looking at it, alright, Thor in the center there. And we see Korg and Jane Foster, and Stormbreaker in the background. We see Thor kind of again in the top corner, but then if we kind of zoom out a bit, oh, it's a giant headshot of Jane Foster. I guess this is a Jane Foster movie, or what I would consider to be like a handoff movie, where Thor is kind of handing off the franchise to Jane Foster, aka Natalie Portman, and she's going to be taking over the series. Whatever, we'll get a little deeper into that in a sec here, but let's take a look at some more of these elements on the actual poster itself. So there's a couple things that are kind of weird here, and you can let me know in the comments below this video if you agree or disagree with what I have to say about this. Does that look like a mustache on Korg? Like if I zoom in, if I copy this picture, I'm going to open this image up here, just take a look at this in a new tab so I can zoom in like crazy. Now if I look at Korg's face, I don't know if it's just a shadow, the way this picture was drawn or created or whatnot, but seriously, when I zoom in on his face, zoom in more, it looks like a mustache. It can't be, right? It can't be a mustache on there, because the guy's made of rock. How could a rock man grow a mustache? It's not like the Thing ever had a mustache. And then when we go down a little bit lower on the poster here, we see a couple of goats. There'd be goats in this movie, which is weird because they're tethered to, I don't know, some type of boat or vehicle here. And we see we've got Thor and Jane Foster and Valkyrie and Korg. So are they seriously going to be introducing Thor's goats? Because that doesn't make sense for a couple of reasons. The goats in Norse mythology, were used to transport Thor around, which seems weird because he has his hammer, right? Twirl the hammer, throw it, hang on to it, boom, fly wherever you want. But that was back when he had Mjolnir, and now he's got Stormbreaker, so he can just basically teleport wherever he wants. So why do we need goats? What's up with the goats? And here's the thing with those goats, if you're going to be bringing those into the MCU, the goats are named Tangrisnir and Toothgnasher. So anyways, if you're going to be bringing in the goats there, Tango and Cash, those two goats, it's going to be, I don't know, it's difficult to say. I just don't see them as being something that you would want to have in the movie, but who knows? This might be, like, as far as this poster, I'm just going by what I see here. It's got Marvel Studios on it. It's got Thor, Love and Thunder on it. This one came out from, the tweet I'm looking at this on is from MCU Direct. And it says, MCU Direct is verified with Pyramid International that this Thor, Love and Thunder poster is an authentic, officially licensed Marvel product that was mistakenly released to stores too early. So it came out too early, but still, I mean, this is their poster. The next thing, if we look a little closer on Jane in the top right here, and she's holding, it looks like she's holding Mjolnir, but it looks like it's got cracks all over it, right? Like it looks like if you took the hammer that was smashed, crushed by Hela at the start of Thor Ragnarok, and then took all those pieces and kind of like packed them back together and made it into a hammer again, it kind of looks like that. Like it doesn't look just like it's like worn and been used in some battles. It looks like a reassembled hammer. So what's up with that? The last time that we saw the hammer itself was the one that Thor got from going back in time during Avengers Endgame, and then he handed it off to Cap during the end fight, and then Cap took it with him when he went back in time. So I don't know. I don't even know who's got the hammer now. So maybe Cap's got it, but then Jane Foster also has a rebuilt version. But I mean, overall, yeah, the poster looks cool, but yeah, there's just a few weird details that I noticed in this once I started to zoom in. I think it's going to be a handoff movie. I think it's going to be similar to what the MCU did with the Loki series, where they turned it into the Sylvie show, right? Loki was basically a guest star in his own movie, and it was just sad to see that, kind of happen to Loki, because this guy was, essentially strong enough to go toe-to-toe with his own brother in the Avengers kind of fight near the end of the first Avengers movie. And then he got smacked around by the Hulk. But, I mean, he survived that. He got a little beat up and whatnot. Then we had to watch him in the Loki show get, kneed in the balls a bunch of times and then knocked out by the, calorically endowed time cop, right? She bashed him across the face and did the big slow-mo burr, fall down type thing. So it's like I didn't really understand where his power levels were after watching that series there compared to what we'd seen in the past. It was like a different version of Loki that, I don't know, wasn't very good. Didn't really like that. I haven't watched Hawkeye, but it feels like maybe they're doing the same type of thing with him. It's a handoff show or passing the torch to a new generation of superheroes, Avengers, that kind of thing, right? So, also there's the Shang-Chi movie, right? With that one, it was the same kind of thing as far as a woman just does it better. Woman just does it better. A lot of people are calling it now the MCU. I'm kind of inclined to agree. In that movie, especially with Shang-Chi, because we had Marvel's Katie, who has that kind of gravelly smoker's voice that I can really only listen to for seconds at a time. She picks up a bow, practices with it for 10 minutes, and she is a world-class, accomplished archer. Then you've got Shang-Chi's sister, who learned Kung Fu better than Shang-Chi just by watching, from the sidelines, watching what people were doing. So how exactly did she train Kung Fu? Because here's the thing, when you're having kind of trained some martial arts myself, having done some, of the old jiu-jitsu and whatnot, martial arts isn't just all about punching and kicking. Sure, like, Kung Fu is being more so about punching and kicking, and jiu-jitsu is a completely different discipline, but there's going to be certain situations that you need to train for as far as a fight. Not everything's going to be your opponent perfect distance away for you to punch or kick them. What I mean by that is, like, what happens if your opponent goes and, like, grabs your wrist? You need to do something to get away. And in jiu-jitsu, you're going to have someone grab your wrist, and you're going to work on your technique to get away from them. At first, they're not going to have, like, a super strong grip. And then as you get better and more practice, they're going to, increase the pressure, make it a little more difficult so that it makes it a little bit more realistic. So what did she do? What did Shang-Chi's sister do in situations like that where it was, something some type of martial arts technique that wasn't a punch or a kick, right? Like when she was practicing breaking a grip on an imaginary opponent, I expect that she was able to do the technique perfectly and get away every single time, because it just doesn't make sense. Or she's completely screwed if someone does grab her wrist because she didn't train those types of situations, and if someone grabs her wrist, it's game over because she might be in a situation where she can't wind up a big punch or a kick, and then it's game over. But whatever. Women do it better than men in the new MCU. So, lastly, it's kind of nice to see superhero Thor again. I laughed at some of the things in Endgame with Fat Thor, but overall, I much prefer superhero Thor. You can bet, because as per usual in the MCU, all guys have to do some type of shirtless shot, some type of shot with their shirt off, muscles out, show why they, worked out to get in shape for this MCU role. But women, not so much. Except if you're in the Eternals, because we've got a couple dudes in there that don't really look like they hit the weights and did the cardio to get in shape. And I'm talking about you, Fastos. Kind of looks like he prepared for the movie instead of busting weights and working out. That he hung out at our Olive Garden for the endless breadsticks. So nice to see Hemsworth, rocking the normal Thor that we're used to. If you look at a progression of Thor throughout the movies, he kind of followed the Hugh Jackman theory of getting like bigger and more, jacked for each appearance of Thor, minus Endgame, because he was, whatever you want to call it, Lebowski Thor or Fat Thor in that one. But in Love and Thunder, I saw this picture a few months ago that was tweeted out, I think, by the director, Taika Waititi, and there's a shot of Thor standing beside him here, and holy shit, dude, it looks like he ate the Hulk. Like, I'm looking at the shot right now, and this guy is huge. Holy crap, look at those arms. Insane how jacked he got for this role here. So it's cool. I'm sure they'll cover that somehow about how he was fat, but then, I don't know, maybe traveling around with the Guardians of the Galaxy and Star-Lord kind of, because they were kind of having a bit of power struggle there about who the captain was and whatnot, maybe Star-Lord kind of fat shames Thor, and then we get like the Rocky montage of Thor. Dun, 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 dun. So now Thor's, boom, he's hitting the weights, he's working out. They're all eating like some type of, pizza or something like that. And Thor turns his back on it, goes, sits down with his like kale shake or something, and gets his ass in shape. So that's cool. Cool that we're going to see that. But the thing is, he is like, looks like he's going to be super jacked in this movie. And then he's going to stand next to Natalie Portman, who, according to the interwebs, weighs 118 pounds and stands 5'3". 118 pounds? 118 pounds. I'm pretty sure I've taken bigger shits than that. She's tiny. She's going to go and lift up Mjolnir and just like topple over to the side. The hammer is going to stand up to her waist. Like, this girl is tiny. Not to mention the fact that she's also 40. So what's the plan here? We're going to have tiny Thor take over for Chris Hemsworth, and she's going to be the new Jane Foster Thor for what? 3 more movies? Another 6 or 7 years, so we can watch a 45, 46-year-old Natalie Portman being Thor. Like, I don't understand what the long-term game plan is here for this one. So Marvel, in their infinite wisdom, has it all mapped out as far as what they're going to do inside the MCU. So we'll see. Lastly, I just want to say all of this, talking about this poster and this movie, I say all this kind of stuff because I care. Like, I like Thor's progression, going from Thor 1 and being kind of like an immature jerk, and then moving to being a bit more of kind of a fleshed out character. He had that kind of mix between being like serious but also funny. And it's a fine line to walk between being funny and being goofy. Thor doesn't need to be goofy. Just to give you kind of an example of what I found to be funny, past was in Thor Ragnarok, when he went to Doctor Strange's house to get a little help in finding his dad, and they're sitting down, and Doctor Strange says, can I offer you some tea? And Thor says, well, I don't drink tea. Doctor Strange says, well, what do you drink? Thor says, not tea. Right? Boom. Big glass of beer in his hand, and surprised, and then just kind of leans and dives in. Like, that was funny to me. That was funny to me without being goofy. So we'll see if Taika can recreate kind of the same, magic and appeal that Thor Ragnarok had without making this movie into a bunch of strong female characters and turning this into kind of a handover movie where Thor is essentially the guest star in the movie bearing his name. So I have to say, I don't know, I'm a little worried about this because if it can happen to his brother Loki, chances are it can happen to Thor as well. So we'll see what the MCU has in store for Thor Love and Thunder, or Thor 4 More Thor. Yeah, let me know down below in the comments if you're excited to see this movie, if you think it's going to be, as entertaining as Thor Ragnarok, or if you think it's going to be a handoff movie. Thanks for watching this. I'll see you in the next video.